Guess what? I think that I've found myself a new crafting buddy. Yep, it's a Cricut maker, if you didn't recognize this machine that I have sitting here beside me. If you are new to my channel, I'm Sharon from the blog I Restore Stuff, and that's what I do. I upcycle furniture and home decor, and I teach you DIY projects, and today I've teamed up with Cricut Australia to do a fun project on this IKEA step stool. Now, I'm brand new to using the Cricut machine, and at first I was a little bit intimidated by, first of all, the technology, hooking it up to your computer, and all the vast array of things that this little machine can do. But seriously, Cricut has made it so easy with all of their step-by-step tutorials that really do guide you along every step of the process. So why don't you learn along with me, and we're going to be making over this IKEA step stool. We'll discuss some other ideas that you can use your Cricut maker for on furniture, and I'll be showing you some of the places that you can get your own Cricut supplies, all the vinyls and all of that kind of thing right here in Australia. But first I'm going to be starting by painting this step stool with some furniture paint, so let's get started. I'm just painting the base in a mineral paint, artisan mineral paint in the colour cotton, which is a really nice white. And so just making sure you're getting all the edges there. If you want to see any more tips and tutorials for painting furniture, I've got plenty on my blog or right here on my YouTube channel, including tips on, so sometimes people have asked me, how do you not get drips on the side of your furniture? So there's tips like that on my YouTube channel right here. The stool and the seat part I painted in a grey, a charcoal grey colour called Black Pearl. There it is finished, and we're ready to open up our Cricut maker and then open up Cricut's Design Space, which is the software program that you'll use when you set up your machine. So let's get started on that. And I'm just opening up Design Space now and moving down to find a shape. So what I'm going to do first is just lay out the shape of my stool seat, the very top part of the stool, and the step part of the stool, so you can kind of get an idea of where you might want to print. It's kind of like a template really, so I'm just making a space here, unlock the width and the height so that I can change those up there in the top there to what the measurements are for my IKEA step stool. Just zooming out here a bit on my trackpad. And then I'm going to create another shape using the square. And we're going to make the step, which is actually longer than the top step of the stool. So we're just typing in those measurements. Again, you want to unlock the little lock icon above the width and the height so that you can change the measurements of that shape. Now I'm going to create a circle. And once again, you'll want to, first of all, I'm going to just change this to white so you can see a bit better. This is going to represent the hole that's in the middle of the stool that's like a handle. So I don't want to put any words over where that handle space is going to be. So you want to, again, unlock and then create an oval just by typing in some different measurements. It's not exactly the same shape as the stool handle. Then I'm aligning it centrally, aligning it horizontally and vertically. By grabbing both shapes there. So you'll need to grab both shapes so you can, and then I'm grouping those together. Then I'm grabbing the text tool and just typing in the text that I want on the top. I'm just going to create Sharon's, it's my name. So you can personalize this however you like with the template that I've created in Design Space. I'll give you a link to that. I'm using one of the Cricut fonts, and I had picked this one earlier, so that's the one that's the font I've used. DOM, casual, standard, regular. And then you just want to place it, move it around a little bit to where you would like your name to be. I played around with this a fair bit just to kind of get it right. Created white because I'll probably be using the white vinyl for this project. Now the vinyl that I want to use, I've just made a duplicate copy there and changing that to the word kitchen. Again, we'll change that to be white. And I want to kind of stretch it out a little bit to make it about the same size as my name up the top. I'm going to be adding another word in here also. So we change that to white, then again, duplicate that word so we can create another word. But this one I'm going to change the font. So for this word, I'm just going to put the word farmhouse in here. Sharon's Farmhouse Kitchen. That's what it's going to be. And changing the font now to like a script type of font, just to have something a little bit different in there. And this one, you can see the name of it up there. I'll put the names of the fonts in the design space. So now you'll see this font is kind of a little bit stretched out a bit and the letters aren't together. There is a new kerning feature and I don't think I had that at this stage. I didn't have the update so when I was creating this video. So I'm just changing the letter spacing until they all sort of come together as one word. So you can see the letters are now joined up using the letter space tool. Then I can stretch it out using those arrows there. And I locked those, or unlocked that, sorry, again, that tool at the top so that I can change the size. I think I'm trying to get it sort of around the same size as the word kitchen. And I'm going to be using a fun turquoise vinyl for that farmhouse word there. So later on in the video, you'll see that I changed my mind about the lowercase font and changed them all to uppercase, but we'll deal with that later. I literally was recording the screen as I'm trying to figure it all out myself. As I said, I'm brand new to Cricut, but there's lots of great tutorials out there. Now I'm just changing the color of the word farmhouse by just selecting advanced and then choosing something that's kind of a turquoisey color, similar to what the vinyl is that I want to make it look like. Then I'm going to select images on the left-hand panel there, and I'm searching for a cowhide print to be able to look for to put on the foot stool part of it, the step stool part. Now you could scroll all the way down like I did, or realize that on the left-hand side we've got an operation type button that will actually refine your search a bit more. And so I've clicked cut only, then I can see that cowhide just comes straight up to the top. It just selects the ones that will be for cut only because I want to cut this on the vinyl and placing it on around about where my footstool is. Now you'll see that this changes as I go through the process of learning Design Space, but I unlocked the top button there so I can shift around and just stretch the cow print a little bit, bring it to where it might meet the center of the stool, change the shape a little bit. You don't have to do it this way. This is just the way I did it. And some of you are probably way better at doing this than I am. Changing the color to white to give me an idea of what it will look like as a white on gray cow print. Then I'm going to duplicate. And I love the way that the patterns in Design Space all match up. Look at that. They match exactly on the left side. So if you duplicate it, it should match side by side. Then we want to select them both together. So I just hold down the shift key and select both, or you can select them along the top right hand side columns. Then I'm just going to move them to adjust them to where I want them on the stool. But obviously this stool step, now I'll tell you this, is way longer than my vinyl is able to cut on the Cricut Maker. So I realized that after a while too, so I have to make some adjustments on that. But you want to click them both together and then hit the meld button right down the bottom, and that will join those together so that you won't have cut lines halfway through your design and your pattern. Here is where I decided that I wanted to change my font into all caps. So that's a quick, easy process. I had grouped farmhouse and kitchen together, so I ungrouped them in order to make that kitchen look like in capitals. It will change the size, so then you just have to shrink it down, play around with it a little bit more. So here we are, just playing around with that design a little bit more. Once you've got it all tweaked to where you want everything placed, which really in the end didn't matter so much, because what I ended up doing was just using it and cutting the design out separately and just eyeballing it onto my stool. But you could have it all equally spaced out and use your transfer tape to transfer it when it's all lined up like that. I didn't end up doing it that way. Now I'm grouping them all together and centering those to the background, so I could kind of center them. If you were going to need it to be done that way, you can center them horizontally, I think it was. Then I'm moving it up to the corner of the mat. Not that that mattered either, because what I ended up doing is you don't need that grey background. That's just my template to show me what it's going to look like. When it actually comes to cutting, I realized that you only need the actual vinyl images that you're going to be cutting on. So I realized that later on. So here is where I am unlocking. So I realized that my step stool is going to be too long for my vinyl, and it has to be under 29 centimeters. I'm working in centimeters because we're here in Australia. So I realized that and changed the shape of my cow print to make it 29 centimeters, and then kind of thought, yeah, that'll look okay, even if it's on the step stool right in the center. So I'm just going to center it to my step stool. I'm removing the white circle in the middle because we don't want that to be cut out. And I will also remove the gray templates. I went back to the make it window, so it'll have a warning right across the top there that my image is too large. So that's when I realized. So you just can hit cancel, back into the design space, and remove the grey templates that were sitting behind the step stool for the step stool. That was just to show me where what my eventual project was going to look like. Hit the make it button, and now you'll see the cow prints laying nicely there, and the word kitchen and the word Sharon's. These are going to be the white vinyl, and then you just hit continue, and you've got to connect your maker, make sure that's on. Set your base material as vinyl, then it will automatically come up with the load tools and material, which they came with my machine. Then you hit the load mat button. So first of all, I'm just going to measure out my vinyl to see how much I'll need. I just kind of measured around about the size of the footstool. I'm using the white removable vinyl for this project. I figured it's my first project. If it doesn't work out, I can just remove it. So laying it down there in the corner of your mat and pressing the button that moves it in so that the blade's all ready. Then you hit the go button and your machine will do all of the work. Here's where you go, make yourself a cup of coffee, cup of tea, and watch that little blade zip around and make all those cowhide print patterns. So I talked about that I am using the removable vinyl for that. If I was going to use the really strong vinyl, it's a permanent vinyl, and I wouldn't be able to remove anything. So I just thought I won't risk it for my first one. So this removable vinyl is great for when you're putting it on walls or surfaces where you might want a room change around or a decor change every now and then. So super easy to work with. Okay, 95% done, and there it goes, finishing off its little words there. And then it shoots it back out. You just have to hit the remove mat button and it comes back out. Don't pull it, just let it do its work. And there you can see the print all cut there, ready to take off. So turn your mat over. That's the easiest way that most people have said that it is, without all that curling happening on your vinyl. Then I'm going to cut out a piece that's big enough for the word Farmhouse from this gorgeous turquoisey colour. Those scissors are sharp, I tell you, they're great craft scissors. Laying it down right up in the corner where the 0 point is. And that's the part where it's already ready. See, with that second mat cut. So then we hit make it again, move the blades in place, and then hit the go button when the computer program tells you that it's ready to go. And my machine is just cutting out the word Farmhouse nice and super quickly there. All done. I've sped this up, obviously. Then hit remove mat, remove it, and you can just see the word Farmhouse there on the vinyl ready to go. Peeling it off. And don't forget to lay your sheet down again to protect that surface from gathering any dust or fluff. What I'm doing now is removing, because I didn't use a function that would put it all in one place together. I am just removing the words, cutting them into pieces so that I can lay it out on my stool. And we're good to go. Now we're going to remove the backing. No, we're going to remove the vinyl, the front part of the vinyl, using my weeder. It's the first time using the weeder. And I'm sure you get really super quick. I've seen some people get really super quick at this, so I'm looking forward to being a pro. There we go. And just weeding out all those tiny little spaces. And now the cow print. This is actually fun. I like this process of removing that excess vinyl. Now we're going to use, now this transfer tape is one that I'd already used before. You can kind of see that it's used. Now it's a good idea to be able to reuse it. My sister taught me this tip. Reuse your transfer tape, and I'm glad I did. Now this is an actually extra strong tape. I'm just removing the backing there of the vinyl, getting it in place. And this is really strong grip tape. So because I've used it a few times, it's not as super strong, so it's actually coming off nicely. But I'll show you, I cut a new piece for the cow print later on, and it is really strong. So just moving right along, and the best way is to just see how flat you can make it. See how I'm now grabbing my thumb and just rolling it back on the words. Got there in the end, figuring out those easy ways of doing it. Then I'm just going to place those other words down on the bottom part of the stool, just making sure they're lined up to where I want them to go. Again, using my reused transfer tape and removing the backing, and now the vinyl is all ready to put on. So I wanted to lay out the word farmhouse there just to make sure I've kind of got it centered, moving it down a bit. Then adding the word kitchen just so it's slightly off the edge of that vinyl farmhouse sign. See that? Now I can just move it out of the way and rub it down with my scraper. That's a really good tool. Really rubs it right down on there. And once again, removing the strong transfer tape. That one worked out pretty good. Just giving it a rub around with my finger also. And then again, see, I'm using the same piece of transfer tape. I think I only used it maybe once before this project. So removing the backing, then the vinyl's all ready to just put it in place. Those lines also on the transfer tape help you to line things up. Really good idea. Good one, Cricut. Good idea. So then scraping it, rubbing it down as hard as I can. And again, see how I'm sort of just rolling it across the word, just being careful of any little places where the letters might come up, like that one, then rubbing it back down. Now I added a bit of the vinyl backing down there because my transfer tape kept getting stuck on my kitchen word. So that helped to just make it only stick to the one part. And now to add the cute little cow print pattern down onto the step part of the stool. See how I'm just going to place it in the center there? Now there's these little straight edge tiny bits on the end that I think I'll just remove. So I went to get my weeder again and just remove some of those ones on the edges that will just be little tiny bits that really won't matter if they're there or not. And that just was because of where I placed the pattern when I was designing it. So you can remove some of those if you didn't want them on the stool. The way I placed mine on the stool, some of the larger ones do come across the front edge of the stool, but that way you've just got the nice rounded cloudy looking patterns. Now I'm just going to cut out some more of the transfer tape. Now remember I said this is a really strong transfer tape, strong grip. Probably if I was going to do this again, would use a much lighter grip, only because I'm using removable vinyl. And so there we go. We're just going to remove the backing of the vinyl there. And the little cow print is all stuck to the strong transfer tape. Yeah, like I said, I think if I did this again, I would use one that's not as strong, because this, they should call it like super duper strong, because this stuff really grips well. So I'm just scraping with my scraper to make sure that the white vinyl parts are really stuck down well onto the stool. And then we gradually lift up the strong tape, but you'll see how strong this is when I try to remove the tape. And I ended up having to just do a little bit more of that rolling that I was speaking of, so just flattening it back down on itself, and that's probably the easy way, and just going along, and as I went just kind of used my scraper to help as it lifted on. It would just mainly lift on some of the edges. You can see that one there in the middle kind of lifting up, so just pushing that back down using your scraper. So this is really good strong grip transfer tape, and I would use it for the permanent vinyl, not the removable. So just probably take that tip there and use one that's not such a strong grip, but that I'll be able to reuse that again and again, that transfer tape. And there we go, all done. And not too bad for my very first Cricut project. I just wanted to show you up close how I rolled it over the edge, but you could just cut yours straight to the edge. And see this space at the end, at either end of the stool? You could just, cut out some more of the white vinyl cow prints and actually just, remove that one and create some more little cow prints going out to the edge if you wanted to. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed that project of my farmhouse kitchen stool. Remember that this one that I used was removable vinyl, so you can always just peel it up. I thought I'd give that a go for my very first try rather than the permanent vinyl. There are so many different accessories, tools and things, and if you're in Australia and you've been just thinking about getting the Cricut Maker, it's available right here at Spotlight, Harvey Norman, Big W and Costco. So go check them out, and I hope that you'll tell me in the comments, what have you made with a Cricut Maker? What's your favorite features? I'd love to know. And if you haven't done so already, I'd love you to like, comment and subscribe to my channel. See you next video.